Hey folks, Little John, and brew day. We're brewing up triple dry hopped, called a fruit bomb. It's a pale ale. I was going to push into a IPA, but I'm probably keeping on the pale ale side. Anyway, this is going to be the first brew in new format for the grain to glass. So this is something I haven't done before. So this is new for me. So we discussed it a few weeks back. A previous video on the Fat Yak clone, which I'm doing on the same day. So this will be just a little bit quicker. So I've got my grain, 2.8 kilo Pilsner, a bit over 100 grams of Voodoo. Aiming for 12 litre batch in the fermenter. I've got my big 50 litre nano brewery over here with the element in. So I'm doing a brew in a bag on this one. So I'm just going to mash it at around 65 for 40 minutes. Then ramp up to 72 for about 20. And then up to about 75, hold there for about 10 minutes just to finish off the mash out. So with no sparge, I'll just let the bag drain freely. So full volume mash. So I've got about 21 litres in the kettle. This is my first brew on this kettle. I've had the 50 litre kettle previously. This is the new version, which has got the big ferrule on the side and the port with the 2600 watt element inside. So this is my first actual brew on that system. So that's from Cheeky Peak down there in Albury. I'll stick a link down the bottom to the website, and the link there, a great bit of gear. Anyway, so grains are in. So this one will go through. I'm going to follow this right through to drinking. So when we come back to the boil, I'll talk about the hops. Okay, so our milled grain. About 2.8 kilo of Pilsner and a bit of Voodoo, and let's go on straight into the big nano brewery pot. Slipping around a bit. Now I'll get a spoon in here, get the dough balls out, and I'm going to let that sit. It's currently at around 65 degrees, and we'll hold it there for about 40 minutes, and we'll ramp up to 70-ish. Okay, so we've finished that the mash. I'm going to pop the bag up now. Just bring the temp up to about 75, and then we'll sit there for about 15 minutes. Then we'll pull the bag and go to a boil. Okay, we're about 35 minutes into the mash. I've changed my mind. I'm actually going to go a 60-minute mash. Temperature's dropped a little bit, just down to the low 60s. I've just pulled the bag and just bring the temp back up a few degrees, and I'll dump it back in. And it's got about 20 minutes to go. And then we'll do this again and ramp up to mid sort of 70s to mash out. Okay, so we're up to about 78 degrees. Drop this bag back in. Now, every time I drop the bag back in, I'll give this mash a bit of a stir. Make sure I'm getting everything back into the water. Make sure everything's wet again. But certainly, yeah. If anytime you need to lift the bag, make sure you give it a good stir when you put it back in. So, lid back on there. That's now around 76 degrees. So I'll give that now about 10 minutes. And we'll come back, I'll pull that bag again and we'll start getting this to a boil. Okay, so while we're having a 10-minute mash out, get ready to go to a boil, let's quickly do some hops on this this brew. So as I said, it's a triple dry hop. I know it's a bit of a craze at the moment, the DDH IPA is double dry hop. This one I'm going to triple dry hop, as it's not going to be an IPA, or just a higher end pale ale. And it's actually triple hopping all the way through. I've got 3 hop additions during the boil, and there'll be 3 dry hops as well. We're just running with summer and calypso hops. So just going for a nice light, fruity, summery kind of hop bomb sort of a thing. So our first edition is going to be summer at 20 minutes. Yes. So I don't want to push the bittering too much. I want to just be more hop focused. So this is going to give just a little bit of that summer flavour, touch of bitterness, so a bit of upfront bite on the beer, but not anything savage. And then it's just going to flow on from there. Just let all the flavour come through. So 20 grams of summer. Like I said, it's 20 minutes. There. 5 minutes left in the boil. We will go some calypso. Now again, I've never actually used calypso myself. I have a mate who did a IPA with calypso. And I don't recall. I do recall. Actually, I did try the brew. wasn't a massive fan of it. And neither was he. And he seemed to think it was the calypso, and I wasn't going to particularly argue with him because he does make a bloody good IPA. So, not sure. But yeah, these have come from Kev Bristol. The hopping mechanism. I'll link down the bottom. Yeah, yummy. They are a little bit older. They still smell bloody every bit as fresh as anything else you're going to get. So they've obviously been well looked after. And these are hard hop to get. Summer particularly is almost impossible to get. And Calypso is not real easy to get. But gee, I tell you wouldn't know that hasn't been picked bloody 6 weeks ago. And that's fresh as. They are being absolutely treated absolutely beautifully. They are smelling delicious. So 15 grams of Calypso. And if your bloody scales stay on, then things work a hell of a lot better. We'll keep on going. Oh, we got a little bit carried away. Too bad. If you can't get a bit carried away with Calypso, what can you get carried away with? I feel like cracking myself out a little bit of reggae, or get out a bit of steel drum or something. But anyway, not going to happen. I can't sing and I can't drum. I'm not going to subject you to that. I can make beer, so we're going to stick with that. Like I said, Calypso up 5 minutes, and then there will be a flame out addition of some more summer. Another 20 grams thereof. And again, remember this is a half batch, so these should give a little bit of punch without being silly. And total IBUs as a result is 23. And again, it's pretty low because we don't have that upfront bittering hit, so it's got to stay down. But we'll follow through the dry hop. So what I'm looking at is on day 3 I'll drop 15 grams of Calypso dry in the fermenter. On day 5 I will drop 15 grams of Mosaic. Yeah, it's just breaking up the summer Calypso thing. But me, Mosaic is, as a dry hop, is absolutely amazing. I was never a fan of dry hopping. I'm coming around to it, but Mosaic it's made for dry hopping. I don't know if it really even works as a boil hop, but as a dry hop in the fermenter, it's bloody fantastic. So, well, 15 grams on day 5, and then, no, sorry, summer. I've got to, no, Mosaic, yeah, sorry. I'm an idiot. So I said Mosaic day 5, and then on day 7, we will drop 20 grams of summer to finish it off, and I'll let that sit for 4 days. So all up there'll be a total of 8 days of dry hopping combined, the Calypso through. I've not seen anything where they give any grassy flavours, but I don't think there's enough there to cause that problem. So that's the hops. Like I said, I am going to use some Kveik, so we'll come back and have a look at that. I'll get this boil happening and we'll come back and we'll have a look at final gravity number. We'll have a look at this yeast before we get in the fermenter. Okay, we finished the mash out. It's ended up sitting for about 15 minutes. That's all good. So we'll get this bag out and get onto a boil. They're all boiled, hops are all done, and we're now trying to chill with a chiller that only just reaches into the water because it's only half a batch, but we'll get it done and we'll come back and have a look at this one's in the fermenter. Righto, so time to do a tasting on this this brew. Now, it's been God, how long has it been since this was bottled? Bottled on the 3rd of the 11th, it's the 27th, 26th today, so it's 23 days old. So just over 3 weeks, so she's still reasonably young. Now, on the video there was meant to be video of the dry hopping. There was 3 lots of dry hop, and yeah, I'm upset. I said I had the video, I deleted it by mistake. And I would have liked to have kept it because on the second dry hop I stuffed up and somehow I'd sat the lid of the fermenter on top of a packet of chili seeds, and they ended up then back into the brew. So when I come to do the 3rd dry hop, they were sitting on top. So I was a bit concerned. I really thought that was it, the brew's done, it's got to stuff it up, but it hadn't seemed to have done any harm. I did do a taster on this a week and a bit ago, just to see how it's travelling, and it seemed to be fine. So we'll push on and see how we go. So just to recap, original gravity 1050, fermented just here on the bench. So it sat at around 21 to 23 degrees. most of that time, maybe push to 24 here and there. With Kvike, Jern's Voss, just some dry yeast, which I got from, mentioned earlier, from Richard Glover. Ferment was slowish. I had a brew next to this which was US 05 and it went chugged on a lot quicker. So the Kvike with that lower temperature certainly doesn't give the rapid ferment it does at those high temps, and so that's sort of to be expected. So in the end, final gravity was 10-10. So a 40-point drop, and so it ends up with about 5.7% in the bottle. I was looking, target was looking for 10.49 original and 10.12 final, so it's got a little bit higher at the start with and come down a bit further than that, so it's considerably higher than I was expecting. I thought it was going to be maybe 5.2, so I said 5.7, but still not ridiculous for the style. So there's not a massive nose for the amount of dry hopping that's there, but there's a bit, and again, was aiming for a pale ale, not for an IPA, so I wasn't after a massive big amount, which is again was only, you know, the small amount of dry hop. Yes, it was only a sort of a half batch, but was still only 50 grams, or the equivalent of 100 grams in a big batch, so certainly well short of IPA territory. Now, the most noticeable nose is the Kvike. And I found this on the last time I used it as well. It's quite dominant and overtakes. Wasn't a lot of head. It's quite. It's not cloudy. It's just not clear. Well, that's going to show up. It's not overly carbonated. I think I primed it 2/3 of a carb drop. It's been sitting here in the garage, which has been sitting realistically in the low to mid 20s for most of the last sort of week and a half. Summer's certainly come upon us. Yeah, but it's tasty. That's quite nice. You get a nice whack of fruit up front. And the initial fruit's coming from the hop, so you can taste it as a hop fruit. It's hard to pick out like a defined fruit. There's a little bit of mandarin there as it sort of settles, but initially nothing's real clear. There's a lot of just mix there going on, and then the yeast comes on reasonably quickly after that initial flavour, and then some malts coming behind that. So you're getting a little bit of each, and then as the malts go away, and that mandarin and citrusy sort of flavour sort of takes over as the beer dries out of your mouth. It's actually unusual. The mouth feels quite, not heavy, but it's thickish. There's a good amount of mouthfeel, but it's also the body's still quite light and spritzy. There's not a lot of carbonation. It's not visible, not a whole lot of visible carbonation, but it's quite spritzy. You know, in the mouth and around the edges of the tongue. which is really weird. You got that mix of in the middle of the mouth where it's quite dense, and as it flows over your tongue, it comes light and bubbly. But I'm pretty happy with it. What I will say, and I thought this from the first taste, and I commented on Facebook about it as well. For me personally, the Kvike does not give a real great finish. It doesn't really work in the beer. It's sort of the flavour seems to, for me, seems to be dominating everything else. I think there's quite a nice, light-bodied, fruity, quite well-balanced beer sitting here. But the yeast is just putting too much character of its own into the brew. Whether that's because it's brewed that little bit colder, the only sort of recommended to be done at 30-35 degrees. I'm not sure, but I think this beer would have been much better had it been brewed with a USO 5 or something similar with a more standard pale ale sort of a yeast. It's clean. There's no mash issues. There's no apparent, it doesn't seem to be any fermentation problem with it. I think the recipe's pretty solid. I really think it's the Kvike that's letting it down. And I'd be very interested to do this brew again with the standard yeast. And while I'm going on that, I mean, I'm not convinced that the Calypso itself is particularly working either. But it's hard to say what it is. I think the Kvike is pushing it, so it could simply be the issue. There's not a massive amount of Calypso in here, but I think I would run with the Calypso again if I was doing it. But I think the base combination works well. It's just simply a yeast issue. Fix that yeast, I think that turns into a really good beer. So that's it. Triple dry hopped fruit bomb. Recipe, success. Yeast choice, not the best. If you want to give it a crack without the yarn, try a different yeast. Let us know how you go. Does it turn out alright? Run it with the Kvike yeast if you want. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe your taste is different to mine. But anyway, either way, that's me, Little John. So first grain to glass video complete. It's been a long haul getting here. It's been about 6 weeks since brew day. This is really unusual for me to go so long without actually posting up the video of the brew day, but it had been suggested, someone was asked if will I consider doing it, and I don't mind the concept, so it's done. But anyway, as always, if you got any questions, any comments, stick them down the bottom, ask away. If you haven't subscribed to Little John, hit the subscribe button down there in the corner. Ding the little bell thing. Get a notification when there's new videos up. When we're brewing, we're mucking around, we're talking about stuff, we're doing tastings. If you do enjoy what you're watching, consider becoming a patron. Hit the link in the bottom of Patreon. A couple of bucks a month. There's extra bonuses for everybody that's involved. For those that are already involved, cheers, thank you. But for now, that's me, Little John Dunn. So, till I see you again, we're brewing beer, talking beer or drinking beer, good brewing.